The Jaguars had a meltdown against the Miami Dolphins. They were up 14-0 at one point during this game, and then they just completely fell apart thanks to Doug Pederson having crappy play calling. He went for it on 4th and 1 on his own side of the field, doesn't get it, and then it ultimately led to the Dolphins winning the game because they just got all the momentum at that point. And I feel like Jacksonville needs to move on from Doug Pederson. He was good for getting Trevor Lawrence to play better than what he did his rookie season, helping Jacksonville win the AFC South, make it to the playoffs, win a wild card game in comeback fashion against the Chargers. But Jacksonville has peaked with Doug Pederson as the head coach. It's time for them to move on because the same mistakes that got Doug Pederson fired in Philadelphia, he continues to make in Jacksonville. He can't help Trevor reach that next level. Trevor kind of has plateaued under Doug Pederson because when he's healthy and he's at his best, he's a top 12 quarterback. But when he was drafted #1 overall a few years back coming out of Clemson, he was supposed to be just as good as what Patrick Mahomes is right now, or a top 3, top 5 quarterback in the game. And with him unable to reach that level, you got to point the finger at Doug Pederson. Last year, Press Taylor was calling the plays. That was a disaster. We still don't know who's calling the plays this year. It could be Press, it could be Doug, but no matter who it is, both of them have to go. The offense is not clicking at the level that they should with the kind of talent that they have on this team. Is the offensive line bad? Yes, but whose fault is that? You got to blame the coaching. The wide receivers are pretty good. You got Big Play Gabe. You got Brian Thomas Jr., who's an absolute monster. Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne. There is more than enough weapons for Trevor Lawrence to have a great season. There's no reason why Trevor Lawrence should be putting up the numbers that he did week 1 against the Miami Dolphins. I'm tired of Doug Pederson. Don't know how many of you Jaguar fans have the same feelings as me towards him, but his days are numbered. Sean Khan is at a point now where he believes that Jacksonville is no longer a poverty franchise anymore. He thinks that they've done more than enough to be able to make a deep playoff run and to be Super Bowl contenders. And I would love if the Jaguars were to fire Doug Pederson, because it looks like we in Duval are once again in store for another 9-8 season. And when that happens, you might as well fire Doug Pederson and go after the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson. If there was ever a guy who could get Trevor Lawrence to the level that he was expected to play at when he was drafted #1 overall, it's Ben Johnson. This dude is the best offensive coordinator in the game right now. He's probably the best offensive coordinator that we've seen in the NFL in the last 4 to 5 years. And I view him the same way that people view Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay when they were offensive coordinators. He has elite play calling skills. He knows how to maximize his personnel. He's really creative with his play callings as well. He just has a better understanding of offense than what Doug Pederson seems to have at this point of his coaching career. It's kind of like Doug Pederson has become outdated and he doesn't know how to adjust. And we saw this same issue get him fired in Philadelphia with Press Taylor calling the plays and not working out. And now with him, taking back over play calling duties somewhat, it still isn't looking any better for him than what it did last year. And last year, you should have gotten fired after you had a chance at getting the 1 seed during the first half of the season. You were arguably the best team in this conference. Then Trevor Lawrence gets a little bit dinged up. And then all of a sudden, this guy just falls on Jacksonville's season and they miss out on the playoffs. But Sean Khan is a patient owner. He's given Doug Pederson enough time to where you got to start producing the results. And Doug Pederson isn't doing that. I had money on Jacksonville beating Miami. And instead of being able to walk away 1-0, they have a nasty meltdown due to Doug Pederson's stupid play calling, his dumbass decision making, and it cost Jacksonville what should have been a week 1 W. And now it's time for Jacksonville to clean house. Just go ahead, fire him and Press Taylor. You can keep Liam Nelson because the defense played really well against one of the NFL's most explosive offenses last year. He can stay, but everybody else has to go. Doug Pederson is not a bad coach, but he's not a great coach. And he's one of those coaches that when you hire him, he can get you to a certain point, which is being a wild card team. But once you get to that level, you can't get any further than that. And he is a former Super Bowl champion head coach, but Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl in the past with Aaron Rodgers, and he hasn't come close to winning one since. So at this point, Jacksonville, it would be in their best interest to just go ahead and give Doug Pederson and Press Taylor their walk-in papers and go ahead and go after Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, because I really believe that he could get Trevor Lawrence to that next level. Right now, Trevor Lawrence is here when he needs to be here. He should be playing at an MVP level. And Doug Pederson isn't the coach to be able to get that kind of performance out of T-Law, which is why Jacksonville needs to make a change. Jacksonville is only going to go as far as what Trevor Lawrence can take him. And for Trevor to play at a high level, he needs better coaching than what he's getting right now out of Doug Pede and Press Taylor. Appreciate everything that they've done for Jacksonville, kind of putting the Jaguars franchise on the map as far as a national perspective, getting them primetime games, getting them to the playoffs, winning the AFC South Division title for the first time in a while. I respect what Doug Pederson and Press Taylor have done, but they're kind of like expired milk now, where they're stale, they're spoiled. It's time to just empty that thing out in the sink and throw the rest of the canteen in the trash because it's over. It's just expired. It's not working out anymore. Jacksonville needs to go in a different direction when it comes to this coaching staff.